everybody, this is Sword Song with a quick disclaimer. Explanation point, along with most videos on my channel, are just opinion pieces. They're not reflective of anybody but my ideas and thoughts, and they're not meant to offend. They're just me rambling about various things from word pronunciation to daily topics. So with that in mind, please enjoy. Hey everybody, it's Sword Song, and I've decided it's time for me to do an explanation point, because for the past 3 weeks I've been just ridiculously sick. Partially because I think I had like bronchitis or something, and then being pregnant, and it's been exciting. And a lot of stress, a lot of stuff going on. But during that time, I've been spending a lot of time being sick, laying down, trying to take care of myself. So I've been watching like a lot of Let's Plays, a lot of like Zero Punctuation, and just video game stuff, as well as movie stuff, blah, blah, blah. And a couple things have come up to me that I've always had opinions about. I've always thought were ridiculous. And I've ranted about it multiple times, but I've never done it on camera. So the first one kind of focuses more on just video games, specifically war-themed first-person shooters. The other one kind of talks about movies and video games, but they do link together. The first thing I'm going to rant about is war-themed first-person shooters. Okay, like, war theme's fine. If you want to do a first-person shooter, you can't go wrong shooting Nazis, because who the fuck likes Nazis? And nobody likes Nazis. If you like Nazis, you're probably a Nazi, and then you're part of the problem. So fuck Nazis. This is the one thing we can all get together on as a universe, to be like, Nazis are just bad juju. Fuck Nazis. So if you want to do those kind of games, awesome. But there was a game a few years ago. I cannot remember what it was called, but it was actually based on the journals of World War I fighters, soldiers. Some of them had died on the battlefield, in the trenches, things like that. And they wrote down their experiences because, a lot of people keep journals, especially, even now, a lot of soldiers keep journals because it's a good way to process what you're going through. It's a big fucking thing. And, in this game you would play, I want to say it's a battlefield game, but I'm pretty sure I'm wrong. But in this game you would play the stories of these soldiers. And that just bothers the fuck out of me. Shooting Nazis is fun. Shooting aliens like in Halo is fun. But actually reliving the life of people who went out there and put everything on the line for sometimes what they believed in, sometimes simply because they were told to, and turning that into a game and taking away like the weightiness of it, it drives me up the wall. War is not fun. War is not a video game. War is not something we should aspire to. Most of the time, if you're a soldier and you're out in the field, you're not out there fucking teabagging your enemies. You're not out there 360 no-scoping. And if you are, you're that guy. You're the one who went insane and ended up in an asylum, fucking got court-martialed, like, just tried for war crimes. You're that guy. Because that is not a normal way to approach the killing of another human being. And I know video games supposedly desensitize us to that kind of violence and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't, because video game violence is incredibly different from real violence. And that's why I don't have a general problem with war games. It's just the ones, God, the light, the sun is moving too fast. It's just the problem I have with living specific real people's stories through a video game. It's so disrespectful. And I'm not the kind of person who's like, don't talk ill of the dead, it's disrespectful. Like, if a person was a jackass when they're alive, they're gonna be a jackass when they're dead. Dog! You're gonna be a jackass when you're dead. So I'm not that kind of person, but to belittle someone's ultimate sacrifice by turning it into a video game, and because you can have, like, if it was an indie game, you can have the story where you are telling the story of a soldier, and it can be very dark and depressing, but most of the time it is not. They're AAA titles, and it's all about like going out and shooting and having fun and blowing stuff up, which you want that in a video game. I just don't think it should be linked to a real person, and not really a real event. I've seen some things that were based in Vietnam. My grandfather is a Vietnam vet, so that's always been kind of a tender subject with me. I've seen ones that were based in Afghanistan, in both the first and second thing that we went into with that, and that's always bothered me. Like, the only war period I can really get behind making a video game for and studying it very blatantly and realistically in that time period is World War II. Like I said, fuck Nazis. fuck them in the dick. So, like, largely, if you want to reenact, like, a time period and have that idea, that's cool. Just don't straight up call it, Afghanistan. Don't straight up call it Desert Storm or anything. Just be like, have it be enough that, yeah, you get it, but it's not enough to actually belittle or undermine what these soldiers actually did, because, like, that's fucking amazing. That is a huge sacrifice to make for your country, your family, for your beliefs. I have very strong beliefs, which is why I do explanation points and rant and rave, and I want to go out and do more things and be more active in my community. But I don't think I am convicted enough in, I'm going to say 98% of my beliefs. I'm not convicted enough to be willing to fight and die for them. I wouldn't give up for them, but I wouldn't go out and kill people for them. There's a couple things that I would stand up for and die for, but not enough for me to go out and join the military. Like, even if they wanted me, I don't think I could do it. So I think that's kind of silly. My second point that kind of ties into violence in video games, I was watching a few Battlefield 1 kind of reviews, because Battlefield 1 came out recently, or is coming out, I can't remember. And one of the things is, like, in the opening sequence, you have two soldiers. It was like an American and I want to say a German, and they're aiming at each other, and the battlefield is just strewn with bodies, and they lower their guns, and they're like, oh my god, this is useless. It's a very human moment. It's a very cool moment. It's also undermined by the rest of the game. You just blowing people's fucking heads off. Like, you can't. In a lot of video games and a lot of movies, they try and put in this message that fighting is bad and that murder is bad, and why can't we all just come together as a people? And that is an amazing message, and I 100% am behind it. But maybe don't put it in your video game where the whole point is to kill people. Or I think the first time I realized this concept was ridiculous was in Pokemon, the first movie, when the Mewtwo's clones are fighting the actual Pokemon, and they're just fighting and tiring themselves out, and it's right before Ash goes out and sacrifices himself, and everyone's standing around going like, Pokemon aren't meant to fight, not like this. And I'm like, that's all you do. That's the show. You fight Pokemon. It's a show about legalized dogfighting. And then, like, Power Rangers always try to put that in there. I mean, at the end, with Power Rangers, the end of the episodes, they have, like, this 30-second bits where they're like, well, the White Ranger kicked a lot of butt today, but you don't. Like, fighting is bad. And that was always kind of vindictive. Is that the word I'm looking for? Contradictive. It's always contradictive to me, because they'd be like, you'd spend the whole episode watching Power Rangers whoop putty ass, and then, like, punch Lord Zed in the face, and summon Megazords and fight and get really into it, and then they're like, no, don't do that. I found it more forgiving with that because they were specifically fighting bad guys, and they generally were inhuman. It was monsters and kaiju suits and all that, but it's like, if you are going to have a game or movie where the whole premise is violence, and in the end, if you have this realization like, oh my god, this is so inhuman, we shouldn't be doing this, don't continue that, or put that realization at the end where it is more poignant, not in the beginning. Like, if you want to have that moment where the two soldiers are standing across from each other on a body-strewn battlefield, and then decide not to pull the trigger because of finding their inner humanity and being reminded of what it's like, cool. Don't put that at the beginning of the game where then shortly after you probably go hunt down that dude you just didn't pull the trigger on so you can shoot him in the kneecaps again. Like, because it just undermines the whole fucking point. And this is a thing I see in so many games. I think I saw it. It was like a GTA clone. Some fucking mob game where you run around a city causing a rumpus and stealing cars and punching old ladies and killing prostitutes to get your money back. It's just fucking dark as hell. But they try to have those messages too, where what you're doing is wrong. Like, of course, as a society and as an intelligent human being, who I'm assuming play these games most of the time, don't say anything mean. Of course you know what you're doing is wrong. That's why you're playing a video game and not actually going out and scissor kicking, old ladies in the face. Because you know it's bad, you know it's wrong, and the video game gives you that escape. and it's fantasy fulfillment. That is what video games are. I play Zelda because I like, or Legend of Zelda games, because I like being able to be the hero and saving the world and uniting the world under one flag. I think that's fun. I don't play a lot of FPSs. I'm never going to admit because I'm just really fucking bad at them. I'm just awful. But also because I don't like the mindless violence and all that. Like, yeah, it's fun. I like blowing shit up. I like shooting things. But games like Just Cause or GTA, I'm not super into because it's just violence for violence sake. And it doesn't really feel like I'm furthering a cause while playing the game. They're fun. I get a kick out of them. I love blowing shit up. I love seeing stuff like that. But overall, like, I'm going to turn more to story-heavy games than I ever will just a mindless sandbox shooter. So that's what that is for me. Just stop putting anti-violence messages in your violence games. I could accept it in a game like Mirror's Edge, where, you know, violence was an option, but there was also ways to beat the game with purely through parkour. Supposedly, I got to that point about halfway into the game on the goddamn boat, and just, I couldn't get through it without a gun. Which I hated because I wanted to do the pacifist route. Anyways, like, in games like that, I can see, hey, violence is bad, don't do that. But if you're having, like, if your whole game is literally a war, and you're trying to remember, you know, you're making a AAA title that's supposed to be fun and exciting and escapist, don't put that message in there. If you want to have a non-violent message, or an anti-violence message, put it in a different game, put it in a different way. Because it can be done well. I just don't think first-person shooters are the platform for that message. Also, like, wrestling, WWE, they do that a lot, and I've always found that very contradictory with WWE. It's hilarious. I used to be way into wrestling. You know, when I was little, when it was still WWF and it was still the Attitude Era, and they had, you know, fucking Undertaker and Yokozuna and fucking Ric Flair, shit like that. I was a little Hulkamaniac. But I always thought it was weird when they would come out and, like, do the anti-violence rallies, the anti-bullying rallies, because it's the whole premise of the show. And when you have something that is actually watched more than the Super Bowl more often than not, like WrestleMania, and you have these huge superstars that even if someone doesn't watch wrestling, you know, every kid in the 90s knew who Macho Man Randy Savage was, even if they didn't watch wrestling. Everyone probably knows who Undertaker is. Most people are going to recognize the name John Cena and MC Punk because they're just so famous. So having them come out and saying, yes, violence is bad, and fighting for equal rights and anti-bullying, and those are great causes. But I just hope someone in the WWE higher-ups look at that, at the Be a Star program, and then just realize how fucking hilarious that is. Like, we have built an empire out of violence and bullying and creating these ridiculous stories of people picking on each other to the point of you know, banging chairs on each other's heads. And then they go out to schools and tour and say, you know, violence is wrong. Most of them. Brock Lesnar doesn't, because Brock Lesnar is a jackass. He's the one person who I legitimately think, even out of kayfabe, is a douche. Anyways, I'm rambling. I just wanted to talk about that because it just bugs, it drives me up the fucking wall. Fucking don't tell me the violence is bad this right after I shoot someone in the face. It's a stupid message. It's not going to be impactful. Don't tell me that violence is wrong when I'm watching a show that has always been about fighting, like Pokemon, and even after the movie was still about fighting. It's ridiculous. People have got to see that is stupid, and it's not a good way to get the message across. There are so many viable, entertaining, fun ways to get the message across. You know, leave the mindless violence, sandbox shooters, fighting shows out of it. Just let that be what it is, and trust us as people to be intelligent enough to know that, yeah, violence is bad, but it is fun to emulate. Hence action movies. I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for calling. Fucking whatever I say at the end of these videos for 3 weeks. I've been so sick. But remember to do all that fun YouTube stuff like comment, share, and subscribe. And I will talk to you all later. Bye!